tonight we're joined by Alana Rossi. Alana is a keeper that played at Canisius University. Her father was born and raised in Windsor, Ontario, and Alana will get to it at that point. We'll figure out when you actually, moved to, where is it right now? Actually, you're living in Niagara Falls area.
Yeah.
Okay.
20 minutes from the falls.
Yeah. So we'll go through that later on. But we appreciate you being on. We're doing a webinar series. There's a lot of kids that follow into, our guest footsteps, and it's great to have you on. On behalf of Caboto Soccer Club in Liverpool, we thank you for coming on here. For anybody that's joining us, we'll take questions on the chat box, and we'll get to those questions at the end. But to kick it off right now, Alana, when and where did you start playing soccer?
So I actually started playing when I was 4. So just when I could start walking is when I started playing. And I actually played for LaSalle Stompers. And I remember I've been going through old photos recently. So I see all the different color jerseys and stuff I was wearing. So I started out playing for LaSalle for a few years when I was in Windsor. So that's where I started.
And when did you move? Like, where did you move to when it was, time for you to go competitive soccer at the ages of 8, 9, and 10?
That's actually when I moved to Caboto. So I played. I think I had to go to my parents for this one because I did not know the age when I started. I think they said when I was 7. So when I was 7 and 8, up until U10, that's when I was with Caboto, and then that's actually where I ended my Windsor career there. So
that's really cool. That's really cool. I didn't know that, and I don't think a lot of us did. So that's actually really cool. So you're a Caboto alumni. Remember that?
I am.
So now, obviously, you're a specialized position. Being a keeper is a very specialized position. At the ages of 4 and 7 in house league, and maybe 8 and 9 and 10, you don't specifically get thrown in and say that, hey, I'm going to be a keeper and this is all I'm going to do. I know young kids, they like going in goal, but they also like playing out.
Yep.
When was it that you decided that you're going to be a keeper?
So I have, out of the few older pictures from my childhood playing, I have this one picture of me. I want to say I was probably 5 or 6, and I'm in the keeper uniform, but that was just the rotation. So,
right. That's
one
what
game.
I mean. Yeah.
So that's the only picture I have of me being a keeper, because I actually didn't start. I want to say I was U10 was my last year in Windsor. So U11, I played for a club called Niagara United, and my dad was the coach. And I actually was a defender still. And then, so I've started being a goalkeeper my U12 year. And that
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so that was because my dad, like I said, was the head coach, and our goalkeeper at the time decided she wanted to be a striker. And so since I was a coach's daughter, I was forced to be a goalie. And the first year, I did not like it at all. I remember disliking soccer, basically, because I didn't think I was good at it, and I didn't want to be in that position, but that's the position that I had to be in. And then towards the end of that year, with training and everything, I realized that I was actually kind of pretty good at it. And I had goalkeeper training with the club. And so then my U13 year was when I actually finally enjoyed soccer again, when I was a keeper. So I actually started when I was in U12 because of my father. So
your dad made a fantastic decision, because we'll go into what you've accomplished, which is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that was sort of my next question of why did you choose to be a keeper? And it looks like that your dad was the one that chose for you to be keeper, right?
Yes,
so
all him.
Being a keeper, have you ever been in a situation where you had to overcome some adversity? Did you have a big injury, or I know you mentioned something about you didn't think you were good enough,
Mm-hmm.
And how did you overcome that?
A lot of my adversity actually does come with injuries. So even I actually distinctly remember I've had a lot of like quad injuries. And I remember when I was the goalie for my Niagara club, I had a pulled quad, but there was like no backup and no anything. So I kind of like played my whole season with a pulled muscle, which was very difficult. But then that was when I was 12 or 13. And then now going through my like college career, all 4 years I've actually been injured. I came in as a freshman with a separated shoulder, and I had actually injured that the summer before playing for my summer team. And so I actually came in with, it was healed at the time, but obviously I was still doing rehab. So I had a separated shoulder. Then my second year, I actually like dislocated both of my thumbs. So I had my thumbs taped the whole season. And that year also started my knee issues. I actually hyperextended my knee. And so I would have that taped as well. And then junior, so my third and fourth year, I found out that I actually tore my meniscus. And so I actually played all both seasons with a torn meniscus. I had a cortisone shot. So I've actually had to deal with a lot of injury over my career. And
Right.
the athletic training department at my school always jokes that that's my second home, because I lived in there doing rehab and everything. So yes, that injury is definitely the area that I had to overcome a lot. And like I said to you earlier, I'm still battling my torn meniscus even right now.
Right.
Not being retired, so to speak. So.
Right. Well, that's good. You were in good hands
Yes.
over there in the training room.
Yes.
Now, I've been out watching your team when I was at the University of Louisiana Monroe. I came to the Umbro tournament, or is it the Umbro tournament? It was, yeah.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, the Umbro Showcase. Yep.
The Umbro Showcase. So my next question leads into like, how was the recruiting process like for you to make a decision to go to Canisius?
I think this actually tied into two questions here, just because my process into recruiting was not very traditional, as some would say. I used the recruiting website called NCSA, and that is what I used. My parents and I had found that to be a good resource for us to use. So we actually had used that, and I started using that when I was in grade 9. And normally like coaches will be like very helpful in the recruiting process. So if we're at a showcase, the coach can talk. My coach could talk to like college coaches and stuff like that. But I was faced with the other goalkeeper was the coach's daughter. So my name was never kind of getting put out to coaches. So we had to kind of take that in our own hands to use this recruiting website. And so I have gone to, I can't even count how many college ID camps that I have been to. I probably could take out the bucket of old sweatshirts and stuff that I have and count how many I've been to, but I've been to so many that that is what I use NCSA to find these places. And then I ended up the summer, just after grade 9, I was torn between two universities, Manhattan College in New York City and Western Illinois, which is in Macomb, Illinois, a very, very small town. Only the university is there. And I actually ended up committing to Western Illinois just after I finished grade 9. So I was committed there for pretty much 3 years. I went to all of their winter, like weekend ID camps, and then their week-long summer camps. And then I actually found out November of grade 12 that coach was fired. And they had told us that they didn't, the athletic department wasn't certain if they were going to honor any of his recruits. So they weren't sure if they were going to honor any of the scholarships. And my dad kind of had a feeling, just because their record wasn't very good. And he's like, you should just kind of look at schools. But I really wanted to believe that it wasn't going to happen. And so once I found out in November, I kind of went on the search again. So then I reinstated that NCSA profile because I needed to use it again. And then throughout my the first time in grade 9, before I committed anywhere, I was in contact a lot with Canisius. And on the app, it tells you how many times that they like view your profile. And that was the coach that viewed my profile constantly. And I actually went to an ID camp at Canisius. But once I had committed, just before I committed, actually, we kind of lost contact and I wasn't really sure why. Then I found out after going through the process for the second time that the head coach had gotten fired. And so the reason that he actually stopped communication with me was because he actually couldn't communicate with me anymore. And
Gotcha.
so once I had to go through the recruiting process again in grade 12, I contacted Canisius, found out it was a different coach. And that's kind of how the Canisius started again. And at that time, I was playing for Western New York Flash, which is out of Buffalo. And it's maybe 15 minutes away from Canisius. And so that coach, my coach, would come to watch me train. And he actually watched me in, I want to say maybe 2-3 games at one of the showcases. And then I think in March of my senior year of high school, I committed to Canisius. So a very non-traditional path, because I had committed somewhere and I thought I was set. I committed in grade 9, thought I was set. And then March of grade 12, that's actually when I finally committed to the school that I stayed at for 4 years. So
yeah.
very
So
long.
Yeah. So you committed to 2 schools. So you got 2 different scholarships.
Yeah. 2.
You got recruited twice.
You put it that way. Yes.
You were so good that you committed to 2 schools.
Exactly.
No, that's awesome. So, here's a question for you. What was the feeling like when you made your first start at Canisius University?
Yeah. So,
I talk about
right.
like a forward. I talk about what was the feeling of your first goal.
Yeah.
And I know your first start and your first shutout is a big deal for a keeper.
Right. And so being a freshman, that was my first start was as a freshman. And I don't think at the time I realized how kind of special and important it was. Like when I was just like looking back, freshman year doesn't spark that many like memories for me. But then once I was like, okay, yeah, that was my first start and that was my first shutout. Looking back, I'm like, those were very important moments. And I wish I kind of realized it at the time. So yeah, looking back more, I'm like, yeah, those were very big moments in my career. But I think it was more of a, like, not satisfied that like I got the start, but like knew that like my work ethic kind of got me there. So it was like a good feeling to be able to start and to get that first shutout. But like I said, like at the time, like one shutout, like it didn't mean anything as much as it does like kind of now that I'm done my 4 years. So.
Right. Now this is a big bragging question for you. And this is like absolutely incredible, just so like the viewers know this. You went on to become the most decorated keeper for Canisius in history with 24 shutouts, 70 career starts, and most impressive, you didn't miss one game in 4 years. With being a keeper, your team and your coaches have to trust you, especially as a keeper. What was your mindset, and your work rate to accomplish this from the first day you walked into preseason as a freshman? Because coming in as a freshman is probably one of the most scariest things. And being a former university coach, I know a keeper is, you live and die by your keeper. If you have a good keeper, you have a chance. If you have a mediocre keeper, sometimes you're a little scared when shots go to your net. But what was your mindset and like walking into preseason as a freshman?
Yeah, so obviously it's very intimidating being a freshman, no matter what position you are. But I knew, so since I had committed so late, I knew obviously that my coach had seen something in me. So I knew that he believed in me. And at the time, my freshman class had 10. There was 10 of us. And then one of the other freshmen was also a keeper. So going into preseason was obviously very intimidating. Not only was I among the youngest on the team, I actually was the youngest on the team. I'm born in October, and I think the the next one up is born in September. So I was not only the youngest keeper, I was the youngest player on the team. And I think it was difficult just because it's such a big step and a big change coming from high school and like club teams and being home and then going away. Right. And so a lot of it, getting through like kind of even that first year was just knowing that my teammates and I were like going through the same things together, obviously, and like sticking together through things. And since my class was so big, we all had like a lot of support, and like the 10 of us were kind of like solid and knew that we were like working through it together kind of thing. So that's how I would say I kind of got through even like my first year, like knowing that I was there for a reason. It was not easy by any means my freshman year. My freshman year and actually senior year were two of the hardest years that I've played in my career. So it was not easy by any means. But a lot of it was being able to trust in my teammates and trust that my coaching staff knew what we needed to get done, and kind of trusting each other. But yeah, like I said, being a freshman is intimidating, but coming in with such a core group and knowing that you belong and you deserve to be there is like, it's kind of what you strive off of. So
yeah, when I read that, like the 70 like career starts,
yeah,
and doing it from day one to the end,
yeah,
something popped into my mind, like, and it's sort of a side story. When I was at coaching in Arkansas, University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, we had a football coach named Monty Coleman. He played 17 years with the Washington Redskins.
Oh, wow.
Okay. He was undrafted to the Washington Redskins from the University of Central Arkansas. So he wasn't even drafted by Washington. He ended up getting picked up on like free agency or tryout. So for 17 years, he started in his position, and he's named top 50 Washington Redskins of all time. So I asked him this question. I said, like, every year there's the NFL draft. So for 17 years, he never lost his position. So sort of like you walked in there from day one, and there's recruiting class after recruiting class after recruiting class, and you never lost your position. And I asked him, I said, what was your mindset like every year knowing that like this player got drafted that's in your position in like the first round or second round, and there were 17 years of it.
Right.
And you know what he said to me? He goes, I used to wake up every morning and look at myself in the mirror and say that nobody's ever going to take my position away from me.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, holy cow. Like, I'm just like, and he said it with like his eyes lit up, just like a football, like, I'll kill somebody, right? That's like, I'll go to that extent. So like when I read that, I just thought of Monty Coleman. I'm like, holy cow, right? So that's why like that accomplishment that the 70 career stars, like if people don't understand, that's very unheard of. Very, very unheard of, and injuries, I mean, everything. There's just so many factors that can go into it, and you've overcome it in 24 career shutouts.
Yes.
So typically, just, to show the audience how amazing that is, typically there's about 18 to 20 games in a full season. So you're getting a shutout pretty much one in every 3.5 games. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I know this stuff because I was a former coach. So like when I look at this stuff, I'm just like, wow. You know what I mean? Like it's like, usually you see a keeper, 11, 12 shutouts, like 24.
Yeah.
That's like an entire year in plus of just shutouts, And then there was another thing that I didn't put on here. It was about the streak of how many minutes like you didn't concede a goal, right? Just like,
I had a home scoreless streak. I think it was my freshman year, and I didn't know that was a thing, because freshman year you don't really know about any statistics. Right. You just play the game, and so I didn't know. And then I saw them like after the one game that I got like scored on, they posted that it ended like my my streak, and I was so sad, and because I had no idea what was going on.
I know.
Yeah. So, but yeah, 24. We got it on
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna end with 23 because the last game of my career was actually a hard team, and we ended up winning 1-0. So that was a very emotional day for me. But
Oh, I could have
yeah,
senior day. That's
yeah,
always a tough one.
24. So
Good job leaving on a bang there.
yes.
So moving on to academics,
Yes.
not only are you the most decorated keeper in history, but like academically, I should have probably mentioned that you did play in the MAC conference, which is a very good conference. You were MAC all academic team,
Yes.
on top of everything everything you did so well athletically. Can you tell us how important the education is when we talk about student athlete? And we all understand that student comes before the athlete.
Yes. So yeah, I was on the MAC all academic team all 4 years, and I believe I want to say it's maintaining a 3.0 GPA. It might be a 3.2-ish, something like that. I'm not entirely certain. But yeah, so I was on that for 4 years. And basically, especially at my school, we stress that you are a student athlete, not an athlete and then a student. And academics are like very important to us. My coach would get mad at me if I say this, but we're a small school. I consider us a small school. He considers us a medium-sized school, but my class sizes are very small. And so whenever I actually never had to like miss a class for practice because we kind of worked around our schedule.
Right,
but if I had to miss like for a game, like either at home or we're traveling, so it's away, my teachers are always very understanding, and not that they're like, okay, you don't have to do the work now, but it's just like they understand why I obviously will not be in class. And then it's obviously my responsibility to catch up on what I missed. And so I think, especially at Canisius, being that it is such a smaller school, and that my teachers know who I am and like who everyone is in the class, they knew kind of not what to expect, but that I would be missing stuff. And as long as you kind of stay on top of it on your end, the academics doesn't ever rarely come in the way of the athletics. I think throughout my 4 years, I missed one exam, and that was it. And it wasn't because I even had to like move them. I missed one for one game, and it was this year, and that was it. And we also have tutoring services available. This is to any student. We don't have like a separate tutor for athletes just because we are such a small school. So we have a tutoring center that's available. And I'm pretty sure it's either 6 days of the week or at least 5 days of the week. And it tells you like who's in there for what subjects, whether it's your major or just like kind of an elective and you need someone to help you with economics or history, kind of stuff like that. And then with the athletic department, we have like academic support. So if I had to miss an exam or something like that, and I didn't know the steps I needed to take, I could go to the athletic department to help me if I didn't know and I was a freshman and wasn't sure, kind of thing. So yeah, we always had kind of that support. And like I said, being that it is a smaller school, everyone knows what sport you are on and knows like if you need help or if you have a game coming up and things like that. So we do stress that we, are a student before we are an athlete. We actually, and so since a little sidebar, but our field is multi-purpose. All teams, baseball's on it, softball, lacrosse, bow soccer. So we have a lot of sports on the field. So we don't have like a lot of time slots. And so we would have people running to practice and running to go to class after practice. But that's just kind of the things that you need to sacrifice a little bit, running in sweaty after practice to class, because like I said, you have to go to class. You can't show up late to class, but you can show up late to practice. So it's kind of a give and take in that department there.
And being a student athlete, I mean, I think it's incredible the way, the athletic and the athletics works together. and
Yeah.
it's not a fight on campus that, hey, that kid needs to be in a classroom. Like
Right.
athletics understands that that's part of the gig. Like they
Yes.
got to be in the class first, right? So
Yeah.
and then on top of it, all the support you do get. And I remember like telling people like it's impossible to fail because
Yeah.
you have to go to study hall, you have to
Yeah.
do this, you get monitored. It's like everybody's on top of you to make sure that you're doing all your stuff. Because if you're not, you're they're gonna bring you in, right? So
Yeah.
it's a pretty cool support system.
Yeah.
Uh,
You just reminded me of something too. That I know like our freshmen, we had to do, I think it was 6 hours of study hall that all of freshmen complain about. But honestly, that was the best time because I got all my work done.
I know, right?
And because it forces you to be in there for
Exactly.
6 hours a week. And another thing that I just thought about, if there, I think so all athletes, so it's all freshmen and then all athletes get progress reports sent
Yep.
out
Yep.
at a certain point
Yep.
in the semester. And if we had anything like a C or below, we had to like tell our coach and then tell him like our plan of attack to raise that grade kind of thing. So
Yep.
that was another thing I just thought of when you had mentioned the athletics as well. So
Yep. There's a lot of questions you have to answer if you're not doing well in school.
yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So
There are.
now going on to the last question here is sort of a
Yep.
two-part question. You know, I think it's pretty obvious that, especially being a keeper yourself, you're not just going to your standard 2 training sessions a week,
Right.
your practice sessions. There's stuff that you have to do on your own, or have a goalkeeper coach on the side. Can you tell us like what extra training you put in your regimen to get yourself at that elite level?
So we would have some additional like goalie trainings with our goalkeeper coach. So we would like even in preseason, we would have field. We would
Sorry,
have this.
sorry, I'm
Oh, are you
I'm
talking
talking more club
outside of?
before.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I like for my summer teams, like things like that. Is that where
Yep,
you're?
yep,
Okay, yeah.
yep.
So I think my first summer I was with the Western New York Flash, their women's team, and
Yep.
I trained with their goalkeeper coach. His name is Marcelo, and he's from Brazil. So I actually trained with him when I played for the Flash before coming to Canisius. So we would train. Oh my goodness, I'm trying to think. Maybe I think as a team though we trained like 3 times. Yeah, 3 times a week with two games, and but then I would have like an additional session with Marcelo, kind of maybe on the weekend or like another day just with him. And then like moving forward, I then switched over and started playing for Hamilton United the following 2 summers. And again, we would have the normal practice with like the team,
Right.
but then I would have an additional practice just for goalkeeper, just with a goalkeeper coach. And yeah, so it was kind of like I was doing the exact same thing the field players were doing, and then I would have like additional sessions with just goalkeeper coaches and focus direct, like only on obviously perfecting certain things with goalkeeping and things like that. So yeah, I had I think 2 coaches at Hamilton United, and then one that I've actually even helped him with his coaching now, Marcelo in Buffalo. So he trained me, and then now I help him train other little ones when
That's awesome.
when I can find the time. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
mm-hmm.
What sort of advice would you give our young keepers? And we have keepers from, again, starting, that rotated net from 8,
Yeah.
9, 10 years old, to keepers that are full-time keepers. Like what would you recommend?
Yeah.
Maybe some words.
Yeah. I would say never give up no matter how hard it gets. It being a goalkeeper is special, and it doesn't come naturally or very easy. You have to work for it. And personally, I know that I've had bad days, bad games, bad training sessions. It'll happen to everyone, but you need to know that those bad days don't define you as a person or as a player. So as long as you're giving 110% in everything you do, you will see the effort and the results come back. So I think a main advice that I would give is to never give up, no matter how hard it gets. And that was put to the test me, especially my freshman year. Like I said, my two hardest years, freshman year and senior year. That was advice that I needed to keep telling myself, to never give up, and just keep working, because like I had mentioned before, my coach saw something in me, so I was there for a reason. So I knew that as long as I was giving like the best effort that I could, then I was doing something right. So
yeah, I think those are very good words of wisdom. So, well, that wraps up the 10 questions. It looks like that we have several questions here. Let me just look over. We have Landon with 9 questions and Coach McLeod with 1. So let me just go through this here. Let's go off of a first question from Landon. He plays with the 2010 Caboto team. You know, which soccer player were you inspired by?
So I don't know if anyone has heard of her, but her name is Sabrina D'Angelo. She is, I want to say, the 3rd goalkeeper for the Canadian national team. We're from the same high school. And
Oh, wow.
I didn't go to high school with her, but I came in right after her. And I've actually met her a few times, because my brother and her cousin played hockey together. So I'd meet her at the arena and I'd be like super stoked and like super excited to see her. But yeah, so she is someone that I definitely looked up to. She played at South Carolina and was a superstar. And then I followed her along on her journey with the Canadian national team. So that's someone personally that I am inspired by, that, again, a lot of people probably don't know about, but someone that is a little bit more famous in that regard, I always looked up to Buffon, because being Italian and watching him in the World Cup, and I know I've always loved him. So on a level that everyone can understand, Buffon is my male role model, put it that way, and then Sabrina is my female inspiration. So
awesome.
Yeah.
We'll take a question here from Shane McLeod, U14 Girls Caboto Royale coach. What are your future plans career-wise?
So I just graduated 2 weeks ago, I think. 2 weeks ago from home with my Bachelor of Science. I just graduated with accounting and accounting information systems as a dual degree. And Canisius, it offers a 5-year concurrent MBA program. So instead of graduating with my undergrad and then in 4 years and then going to grad school for 2 years, I can do it in 5 years. And so I've actually already started taking MBA classes, and now I just have 1 more year at Canisius, so next year, to finish up my MBA. And during that time, I'll be studying for the CPA to hopefully sit for that within the next year, and take my CPA, and then see kind of where I land from there. I'm not sure if I want to stay in New York, I've been pondering heading out to Michigan. That way I can be closer to Windsor, but don't know. I don't know what I'm doing with that yet, but I know that I'll be sitting for my CPA and studying hard for that soon. So that's career-wise right now.
If you come out this way, we'll take care of you.
Yeah, I know. That's why my dad asked me today. He's like, well, do you want to stay in Western New York? I was like, I don't know. Maybe Michigan's looking pretty nice right now.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Now we have a question from Uncle Toto.
Yes.
Let me get to it here real quick. What awards were you up for, and what did you receive this year?
Yes. So I was nominated for record-breaking performance and female athlete of the year. And this was, they do it a little bit differently. Some awards actually at the end of the year are voted on through like coaches and like athletic department. But these 2 awards were like per vote. So I was broadcasting everyone. I'm like, please vote for me. So I actually won record-breaking performance.
Oh, wow.
With my 24 career shutouts. That's what I was nominated for. And then I did not end up getting the female athlete of the year, but it was an honor being nominated against
Absolutely.
Some good competition. So the girl that actually won she plays volleyball and set some records this season too. So it was good competition, and grateful to even, be nominated for such a great award senior year. And so, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, let me see. There's another question that came in. Okay. Let's go with one more question here. Actually, so we have Ahmad. How old were you when you went to your first soccer club? That was probably 4. I think you answered that.
Yes. Yeah. When I was 4, that's when I started. I'm sure my dad was pushing that one there for me to start, since he's the big soccer guy. So, yeah, probably the second I could walk, I was already kicking a soccer ball around. So very, very young.
Well, I'm going to see if a video will pop back on here now.
Okay.
Alana,
there he is. So,
Alana, just about were you interned there?
Oh, yeah. I interned with the Buffalo Sabres for just under 1 year. I was in their finance department. I was a finance office assistant was my title, and I actually worked in the arena, so I got to go in the arena every day, which is very cool because I am a very big hockey fan, not a Sabres fan, which I did state, yes, I'm a Leafs fan.
Yes.
Sorry, Teto. I'm a very big Leafs fan. That was the first question I actually got in my interview, if I was a Sabres fan, and I had to tell them no. Wasn't sure if I was gonna get the job after I said that, but yeah. So I worked for the Sabres for, I think, just under maybe 11 months, and that ended just because of international education and visa ruling and stuff like that. So yes.
So it looks like your family members are Canadian fans. So
yes. Oh, why didn't you see Luca?
Yeah, there he is.
Yes.
And so is his video.
Oh.
So is the video.
Alana, so I just wanted to say, obviously this raises a pretty important point. So, for the most part in your career, your academics and your athletics, obviously you've been a winner. You've done a lot of great things. It does not make any sense for you to be a Leaf fan. There's no bigger set of losers in the world in general than the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I was born and raised that way.
It's in the blood.
Yeah.
That's too bad. But no, that's great. I mean, I did have a couple of questions.
Okay.
What were your biggest successes in youth soccer? Tournament wins, things that were exciting as a, let's say 14 to 17 or 18-year-old.
Yeah. One, it was oh my goodness, it was in Minnesota, I think.
The USA Cup.
Yes, the Schwann Cup.
Yeah, I went to that too.
Yes. So we, my team actually won that year. For some reason, I want to say it was in penalties. I could be wrong. I just remember winning, and it was the best thing ever. I don't remember how we won or anything, but it was terrible weather. I do remember that. Things like, it was very bad conditions. But I do remember we won the Schwann Cup, and I actually have that hanging on my dresser, so I can see that all the time. And another one, it's not really so much as a success, but I got called up to try out for the provincial team. So I was I don't even know how old I was. I want to say maybe 15, but I could be completely wrong. And so, yes, I got called up for the provincial team, and I made it to actually the last tryout. There was 4 of us. They told us that they were going to keep 3, and then they ended up only keeping 2. So I actually got cut on the last tryout, but even just training with them and just like working out with them and like kind of being in like Ontario Soccer, kind of that organization there was kind of a success in itself, just getting that training out of it. But yeah, those 2 are the moments that like stick out to me as being, you know, the successes of when I was younger. So
That's fabulous. And I'm sure, you know, obviously I know your parents. I'm sure none of this would have been possible without their unwavering support. And, you know, so give them a pat on the back.
yes.
Maybe your mom a little more, your dad maybe more of a smack in the back of the head.
Yes.
Gideon, this is all. She is a Caboto alum.
Yeah, no, I knew that. Who did you play for, Alana? Who were your coaches? Do you remember?
Yeah, this was the year my dad actually wasn't my coach. It was Facinato, but I can't think of his first name. His daughter's Devin.
I think Tony.
And it might have even been Tony. I don't know if Tony Servi maybe. Could have been.
So you know that I have a nickname for your Zio Tony Servi, eh?
Oh, great. What is it?
Once the kids get off, I'll tell you.
Okay.
You can tell him I said hello too. But
all right.
anyways, hey, on behalf of Caboto Soccer, I just want to thank you so much. This was great. You're a well-spoken and fabulous role model for these kids. So keep up the great work.
Thank you.
And we hope that we can continue a relationship, even if it's when you're down sometime and things return to normal. If you could come out to a training session or something, it'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So thanks very much, Alana. Roberto?
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, Alana, you know, thank you very much. You've been great. You know, we appreciate this, and definitely when you guys come into town, let us know.
Sounds good.
You know, hopefully there's soccer then, and you can jump in, and maybe we can have like a little keeper clinic for a couple hours.
Awesome.
It'll be fun to have you here. So you're always welcome. So we thank you again for coming on. If you want to stick on here until the end, just you know, I'll unmute everybody so they can say thank you as well.